5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thunderbirds a go! Thunderbirds a go! Thunderbirds a flipping go! Thunderbirds is a cooperative ball game where you and up to 3 others take on the role of international rescues. You try and hinder the Hood's plans for world domination and... boy, I hope I haven't overhyped this one. Thunderbirds is based on Gerry Anderson's show of the very same name back in the Puppet era, and it was one of my favourite shows as a kid. So, in order to get a professional, unbiased review of this game out, I feel like I need to release this pent-up fanboyism I've built up in my system. It'll only take about 10 seconds, please just bear with me. Oh my goodness, Thunderbird 2 opens up so you can put actual vehicles in it, and all the missions that you can go on are based on actual episodes of the show, and they give you a little card that you can sign to say that you're part of International Rescue now, but I haven't written on it yet because I don't want to muck it up and ruin it. Flipping, I can imagine having to live with that. It's also designed by one of my favourite designers, Matt Leacock, creator of Pandemic, and I know we go on a lot about Pandemic on this channel, but this week I'm going to focus solely on Thunderbirds. I'm going to separate them out as much as I possibly can and focus entirely on this. I mean, there's nothing at all that can distract me from that objective. Come on now, no, don't do this week, no. Thunderbirds puts you in the role of a member of International Rescue as you hop around the globe and the universe to try and prevent disasters from occurring, such as this one. If you successfully do so, you get a bunch of tokens to spend on extra actions, rerolls of die, extra vehicles, or if your team is in the right place at the right time, you can discard them to stop the Hood from completing one of his horrible, evil schemes, giving you objectives like revealing the Hood's policeman disguise and stopping him stealing the transponder blueprints. If you want context, watch the show. On their turn, players have 3 actions to do whatever they want, as long as they consist of the 4 things I'm about to list now. They can take the machine they're in and move across the board. Unless they're in Thunderbird 5, in which case they have to stay in geostationary orbit and think about what they did wrong. Each machine can move a set amount of space as dictated by their maximum speed, with Thunderbird 3 the only one that can go into space.
Hiya.
Hey,
What are you up to?
I'm just having a ride in Thunderbird 3.
Okay. Have you done anything productive?
Oh, I got the Countdown Conundrum earlier, which is pretty good. For me. They can plan, meaning they can draw a beneficial fab card, which will have ramifications we'll get to later on. If they're in Thunderbird 5, they can scan, meaning they can move a disaster card back 1 space. I mean, it's not like they can do anything else. Or if they're in the same place as a disaster, then they can make a rescue attempt by rolling dice. Poor attempt. These disasters occur in certain locations across the board. Each disaster has a certain difficulty level on them. You roll dice, add the numbers up, and if it's equal or greater than the number, then you complete the disaster. But even if you don't hit that number with the dice, you can still sneak in a few bonuses depending on who's tackling the disaster. Each character has various different perks helpful for tackling certain disasters. Apart from Lady Penelope, who has the genuinely useful ability to share bonus tokens with other players, which apparently the Tracys can't do. Thanks, boys. On top of this, disaster cards also have various different criteria on them, where, if met, can grant a bonus. If your rescue attempt succeeds, then you get a bunch of colourful bonus tokens, which come in very handy during operations, actions that can be used whenever you want throughout your turn, for no cost at all. Operations are simple actions. They allow you to jump over to another machine if it's in the same space as you. They let you load up to 2 vehicles onto Thunderbird 2. Spend bonus tokens on various different benefits. Technology tokens to construct 1 pod vehicle, useful for various different disasters. Determination tokens to take an extra action. Intelligence tokens to reroll 1 die you just rolled. Teamwork tokens to add +2 to any dice roll total, and logistics tokens which allow you to draw 1 fab card without any consequences. Or if you've accumulated enough bonus tokens, you can hit the Hood where it hurts and take down one of his schemes. In order to foil them, the players have to be in the locations and discard the tokens listed on the card. Once they have done this for all 3 schemes, they win. But after every turn, a new disaster occurs and all the disasters move up 1 space on the disaster track. All the while, the Hood progresses in completing his diabolical schemes. And if you didn't watch the show and you don't get how bad this guy is, just look at him. He looks like an unlockable evil character in Mortal Kombat. Incidentally, Ed Boon, if you are watching, feel free to take that idea, because that's a crossover no one will see coming. If a player decides to draw a fab card, then the Hood advances 1 space up the Hood track. If a player draws a Hood card from the disaster deck, then the Hood advances 1 space up the Hood track. And if the hood's face appears on a die result, then the hood advances one space up the hood track. Hood. If the hood progresses far enough, you'll be forced to draw an event card which will do something horrible to hinder you, your machines, or both, but still, at least they can be fixed in some way. If, however, he progresses far enough to hit a scheme card that you haven't dealt with yet, that's it. He wins. You lose. Game over. And of course, this is a Matt Lecoq game, so that's not the only way you can fail abysmally. If you run out of disaster cards to draw from, then that's no good, because International Rescue run out of time and you lose, but that's never happened to us. We usually lose way before there's a chance for that to happen. Or if the conga line of disaster cards ever manages to hit this 8th space here, then the world is thrown into chaos and you lose. Flippin' heck, when did that happen? Non-fans might look at Thunderbirds and diminish it as childish and therefore easy, but it can actually be deceptively challenging even on simpler difficulties. It's also easy for players to just purely focus on all the scheme cards and completing them as fast as possible, because at the end of the day that's what's going to win you the game. But if you just focus on those, then all the disasters down here are going to get completely out of hand. And let's say you do focus on the disaster cards. If you simply go at them willy-nilly trying to get tokens that you feel like you need, then there's a very high chance that the one all the way at the end will hit the failure state a lot quicker than you think. Thunderbirds sacrifices the drama found in most other cooperative titles for a more streamlined, dare I say, linear experience, and that's not a bad thing. In other co-op games, the tabletop AI can occasionally strike randomly in a bid to create friction within the group. And whilst that's amazing for creating drama, it can also create an alpha player bossing people around, telling everyone what to do and when and how, and blah, go away. But in Thunderbirds, even though there is a lot going on the board, it's only logical to think of the card at the end over there as a sort of main objective. It gives players focus and a bid to combine all their knowledge and the commodities that they gathered in a bid to solve that logistical puzzle that's unfolding in front of them, whilst giving them a list of priorities to deal with in future turns. As the panic throughout the globe is clearly labelled for players, those with alpha player syndrome have their fears sort of squandered and slowly calmed down, and prevents them from stepping in and taking the reins on everything, as it's really a team effort. And to do that in a game where you're effectively encouraged to hijack the vehicles of other players, that's quite impressive. So, Thunderbirds is a solid cooperative board game, but should you buy it? Well, that comes down to two factors really. One, are you a Thunderbirds fan? In which case, yes, you totally should, and you probably already knew about it, and you probably already bought it, in which case, are you just still watching this to pity me or something? I mean, what does my opinion matter? If, however, you are not, then we're going to have to bring up an old friend for the decider. If your Pandemic collection looks anything like this, a Lazy Susan completely optional, and you're craving a new cooperative experience, then yeah, I'd say definitely get it. It's much more than a simple reskin of anything you might have played before. Things start to get a bit more complicated when you add Pandemic the Cure to proceedings though. The Cure is a dice-based pandemic where you roll dice in a bid to hit a certain number in a bid to cure diseases, and also has a very logistical feel to it. Thunderbirds is a nice middle ground between both the original Pandemic and this one, and does enough ideas by itself to not be direct clones of those games. I cannot stress that enough. But if you have both the original and the Cure, and you're happily playing them right now, and your wallet is sitting in the corner crying and saying, please don't take anything more from me, I am begging you, Thunderbirds is a significantly harder sell. Thunderbirds may not be my favourite cooperative board game, but it does have all the makings of a fantastic one. It takes all the mechanics and foundations we've grown used to in co-op titles and simplifies them without being patronising. Not only does it reinforce Matt Lecoq's status as king of co-op, but it also shows that when he's given a classic British television show, he can make a pretty decent game out of it. So what are you going to take from us next, Matt? The Crystal Maze? Hi, Matt. Hi, don't put the phone down. I've got a fantastic idea for you. Seriously though, please make it happen.